It has the color, the atmosphere, and the exuberance of the Rio Carnival in Brazil. But the meaning is different, and the location is more than 3,700 miles across the Atlantic in Lagos, Nigeria. This is the Fonte Festival. It's a celebration of culture, and it recalls events from 1888 when Brazil became the last country in the Americas to formally abolish slavery. Some of those who'd been set free returned to countries in West Africa, including Nigeria, and they brought with them the culture of Latin America. 137 years later, there are many people here who have Yoruba first names, which originated in this region, but Portuguese last names from their ancestors' slavery in Brazil. The Fonte Festival, which includes the colors of the Brazilian flag, aims to preserve that heritage, according to one of the celebrants, and to remember a story of tragedy, hope, and resilience, according to another. A 62-year-old lawyer and historian told the AFP news agency that this carnival isn't just a day, it's a tangible legacy of what her ancestors went through. Hi, I'm Carl Azuz, and this is the world from A to Z. It's great to see you this Wednesday, as always. Changes are coming to a variety of foods sold in the United States. They might affect how they look, but not how they taste, because the changes concern dyes, artificial colorings intended to make many foods brighter and more appealing. They've been around since the late 1800s. They're often made from petroleum, and today they're found in everything from cereal and ice cream to soft drinks, yogurts, sauces, and candy. One named Red 40 is used in tens of thousands of products. Color additives don't have any health benefits, but the U.S. Food and Drug Administration says they are safe, and all the ones Americans consume have to be approved by the FDA before they're used in foods. However, there are concerns about whether they can affect children's health in particular. The FDA says when viewed as a whole, scientific evidence suggests that most children don't have problems with food dyes, but that there's evidence some children do. Hyperactivity, allergies, digestive problems, and behavioral changes are among the issues that studies have linked to food dyes. So what's happening now? Yesterday, the Trump administration announced that 8 artificial colorings will have to be phased out of U.S. foods and medicines by the end of next year. In January, the Biden administration said the dye red number 3, which has been shown to cause cancer in rats, would have to be out of foods and drugs by 2028. The government is fast-tracking its reviews of new, natural alternatives that can be used to color foods, and there are ones currently available. Some U.S. companies use them in the foods they manufacture for sale in other countries.
World of knowledge. In the United States, what was completed for the first time in the mid-1790s? The White House, a toll road, a public pool, the Erie Canal. Located in Pennsylvania, the Philadelphia and Lancaster Turnpike was America's first toll road. Today, these fixtures are appearing in scams.
It's deceptively simple, the scam, and it's very easy to fall for.
Messages to your phone alerting you to unpaid tolls or an outstanding EasyPass balance. These are called smishing scams.
They're looking to steal your personal information, followed by your credit card information, and finally, they will often have a multi-factor authentication bypass.
Ford Merrill, Director of Research and Innovation at Security Alliance, has been following these types of scams since 2023. To protect yourself, he says, pay attention to the sender.
Looking at the sender address, it will often be like a strange number that you don't recognize, or it will be an email address that you don't recognize, even though it's a text message.
Frank Orr, the executive director of the New York State Thruway Authority, agrees, saying legitimate agencies like his will never try to collect payment over text or email.
They will never ask you to pay a bill in this way. You either have an account or you have a formal process to pay your tolls by mail.
If you do get one of these messages, Orr says simply delete it.
Red flags should go off right away as to whether this is legitimate and real, and they should not engage if it's somebody by phone. If it's an email or text, they should delete it right away.
In New York, I'm Lee Waldman.
On this date in world history. Attention, class! This was the date in 1635 when that could have been spoken for the first time in America. The Boston Latin School, a college prep school, was established for boys only on April 23rd. It was the first public school in America, and its students included folks like Samuel Adams, John Hancock, and Ben Franklin, though he reportedly dropped out because his family couldn't afford it. April 23rd, 1985 marked the start of an infamous marketing mistake. The Coca-Cola Company retired its signature soft drink formula and launched New Coke in an effort to compete more with rival Pepsi. But New Coke fell flat because, well, people didn't like it. And the backlash was so strong that the company re-released Coca-Cola Classic less than 3 months later, and the whole fiasco generated so much publicity that it ultimately strengthened Coke's position as the king of soft drink companies.
Here we are, one of the elephants.
And this was the date in 2005 when the first YouTube video was published. This simple clip by company co-founder Javed Karim has gotten hundreds of millions of views and stands as a piece of internet history.
Farmers in Japan, laboring in the ancient rice terraces of the Kamimomi village. The nation's rice stockpiles reached the lowest recorded levels in decades over the summer, and rice prices hit a 10-year high. This poor harvest is due in part to the summer's high temperatures, and it's not the first time.
Last year, the heat wave took the water out of the rice. It became small and thin.
Since 1898, Japan's average annual temperature has risen roughly 1.24 degrees Celsius every 100 years. A small increase like that might not change much for people, but rice is a different story.
Roughly 1 degree rise in temperature equates to roughly 10% increase in low-quality crops.
When temps reach 27 degrees Celsius, the starch buildup in the grain is reduced.
It becomes brittle and breaks down when the rice goes through milling. The grain is said to have a bad taste, too.
Now, to boost rice stockpiles, Japan is experimenting with heat-resistant rice variants. Near Tokyo, a research center cultivates over 1,000 strains of rice, cross-pollinating them to develop stronger rice types. According to Japan's government, 15% of its rice farms have adopted new variants. But weak harvests aren't the only obstacle in growing rice. Aging harvesters is another.
The average age of a professional rice farmer in Japan is around 71.1 years. It's possible that production will decrease in the future.
A day out in the rice paddies is harder than it used to be for many of Japan's farmers.
There are no longer any successors. It feels like we are heading towards extinction.
Over the past decade, internal migration trends have caused Japan's city populations to grow, while rural populations shrink.
What day is it?
To talk like Shakespeare or not to talk like Shakespeare? That doth seemeth the question on National Talk Like Shakespeare Day. It remembers the renowned English writer on the date of his death in 1616.
Spending some time out west this Wednesday, and by west, we mean Wasilla, Alaska. Miss Pfaff's class, and I hope I pronounced that correctly, is at T-Land Middle School with the Titans in the Last Frontier. Yesterday's show stopped in Walla Walla. Today it's Liberty Lake, Washington, where the Falcons are flying high at Ridgeline High School. Hello to the students and teachers online in the Evergreen State. And in the Grand Canyon state of Arizona, we salute the Patriots of James Madison Preparatory School, where Mrs. Hemming's students are watching in Tempe. The first sight of this might really bug ya, but the insects crawling on these people's hands aren't ants. They're ladybugs. Harmless. No bitey. This is natural pest control. These particular ladybugs aren't pests themselves. They actually eat the ones that feed on plants. So a record 144,000 of them were recently released at the Mall of America to protect its 30,000 live plants without the use of chemicals. Hundreds of members of the public showed up at 6 a.m. to help spread the bugs around the mall. It's been doing this for decades. Ladybugs can uproot plant lice, make ants cry uncle, make mealybugs out of mealybugs. Leafhoppers want to leaf, flies want to fly, mites feel weak, aphids pay the aphidler, and ticks want to talk about going somewhere else. So it shouldn't bug you, even a little beetle, if you spot a spotted creature on a crawl through the mall. I'm Carl Azuz, and we gotta fly, but hope you'll plant yourself here again tomorrow. You mean the world to me.